Recording. Yeah, it's been a little while. Yeah, just I have lots to say, or mostly, but just been busy. All kinds of things, weather, work, and whatnot. Uh, so anyway, it's got so many things I'm working on too. Um, ways of communicating. So it seems like the biggest problem is how to communicate ideas. And to somehow force arguments to be really disciplined and structured. And I know I break those rules. I'm not saying I'm some sort of perfect arguer. I just mean that there sort of does need to be some sort of mechanism to always force arguments to be on the subject. Not to be creating straw men, not to be using very loose language in people saying, they often just say, something like, the whole argument from moderation that Anti-Kantavad has been going on about. And it's just such a funny argument because it's moderate by whose standards? Oh, your standards. Oh, I see. You're right and everybody else is wrong. Oh, isn't that the same thing I'm arguing? Yeah, it is. So you can't do that. I mean, you can't do that as the argument. And certainly, you can argue that you're right and everybody else is wrong, but you have to do it with evidence, reasoning, logic. And so his argument is this vague. Gee, we're all incapable of, controlling our obsessions and our desires and our conditioning and our cultural influences. Yeah, we just can't rise above them. I'm an American, so I like to eat cows and apple pie. I do like apple pie, okay. But whatever, and it'll never be anything else, and I can never understand anything else, and I can never tolerate anything else, because I wouldn't know what the word subjective bias means. I wouldn't know what a word like conditioning means. Of course I can know these things. I can know that it's a conditioned, often, let's say just often, it's a conditioned reaction to the world that maybe changes somebody's sexual preferences, and maybe even dramatically changes them, where they become well, I guess it's not dramatic. Dramatic would be wanting to have sex with animals or something, but sex with the same sex is a minor deviation, from the biological norm. Not a major, but I'm just saying that you could understand that's a byproduct of a combination of nurture and nature, and you could also understand that there's no distinction, that one isn't superior to the other intrinsically or fundamentally by just saying the word. You have to make an argument why it's more efficient a certain way. And so, yeah, it's an argument you got to make. And the kind of doesn't present an argument beyond the fact that he says, "Look, I'm a likable guy, right? I make faces and I have personality. I'm just jumping with personality. So, isn't that all I need? You trust me, right? If I tell you they're too excessive, you'll understand that, right? Wink, wink. You're with me, aren't you, guys? Wink, wink." I mean, that's all he's doing. It's the argument from, you're one of us, aren't you? You're not one of them, are you? But no explanation for why we should be tolerant of anything. Why this very moment, in response to the facts of life, I shouldn't be hysterically screaming in horror. You can't make a rational argument why that's not the appropriate sentient organism response to arriving on a planet of carnivorous aliens, that will have you for lunch. And nature will have you for lunch eventually. It will serve you up on the platter, nailed to the platter, and you're going to be doomed. You're going to be fucked by this process, one way or another, eventually. Anyway, pay attention a little bit here. Tricky part. It's not that tricky, but it's wet and cold, so I don't want to have an accident. Do it right, or don't do it at all. You can certainly say that about stream crossings. So anyway, trying a new lens. Let's see how that looks. Take a pause here. Yeah. So, yeah, lots of new. This one was a 78-cent lens. So, yeah. Sometimes cheaper's better. Anyway. Trick will be, will it work underwater? Yeah, that's what I have to say. Anyway, yeah, more swimming videos to come. Just took a little vacation, but I'm not done with them yet. Anyway, gotta get my editing computer running a little quicker. Anyway, so back to the subject. Yeah, so these are, there's a certain rules of evidence, let's say, and nobody's really obeying them. Certainly not on the internet, but you see it even in conferences. People always are just pulling crap, from the, well, you all understand me, right? You get it, right? They're not really making an argument. 9 out of 10 physicists agree. Well, it's usually 33% of physicists imagine. They don't get a majority too often. But yeah, that's a video I want to make. This is a physics video. There's so much to do. There's no way to get it all done. Yeah, unfortunately. Obviously, the evidence is in. Yeah, and I just ain't getting it done. But the good news is, when you're busy, time just flies by. So, hopefully, the rest of my life will pass quickly before my eyes, and I can be done with this. But anyway, miserable out here. Yeah, it's cold. I don't like cold. Yeah, that's not really a philosophical argument. It's a personal statement. So, yeah, so I guess I would argue, into the deeper argument that Anaconda Bod's making, and it's sort of similar to all these people, all these justifiers and defenders of nature, and that's all it is, comes down to. They're all just rationalizing the game, and because the game has some fun stuff in it, it all works out. Yeah, they say so. They think so. And 9 out of 10 people agree. And it's not even when 9 out of 10 people agree. That's one of the funny ironies. Snake Plisskenus guy, or Rizzle Dizzle, whatever, did some video. I only watched half of it, but ragging on some woman who was making rationalizations for some kind of crap or whatever. But both sides are just talking from subjective experience in a lot of ways. Well, anyway, the whole idea of this, men who are men trapped by women who have babies they don't want to have, are men completely complicit in the train wreck, and then just complain later that they don't want responsibility for the mess they helped shove the woman's foot into. And and who cares what side you're on. I'm only using it for the purpose of, there's just so much dysfunction in the creation of the next generation. Nobody's doing it very deliberately or cautiously or responsibly or sensibly among the people who are doing it. So first you have the decisive argument that most people already choose as a personal choice not to reproduce sufficient to maintain human existence. So if it was up to them, the species would die out because they're not going to bother doing that 2-point whatever children thing. I would fall into that category. Before I was a philosophically against procreation for all sentient life, I was certainly against it for me. I mean, I had no ambition to be saddled with the responsibility, the burden, the mess, the responsibility, the burden, the responsibility, the burden, the responsibility. I mean, it's just piled a million miles high with burden and responsibility if you're at all a thinking person. And that's the irony of Andokantavad. Here he is in a position where he just stepped into such a circumstance where there is almost an infinite amount of responsibility and burden tied to the creation of a consciousness. You are creating a human being. There is no, the school will raise it, the civilization will raise it, the computer will raise it. No, you ultimately will create it. You will be responsible for what it is entirely. The control is going to be in your hands. The joystick was in your hands, and it still remains there in terms of you are the controller of its destiny. And it just seems so ironic. The guy who has just stepped into such a responsibility, it's not ironic, it seems so convenient, yammers on and on and on at length regarding the nastiness of responsibility talk. If there was a show on TV called Responsibility Talk, he'd just be, calling the network and complaining, take that rubbish off the air. I don't want to hear nothing about these responsibility shit. I didn't make it. I didn't create it. And he did, and he does, and he is. So here he's talking about how oppressive those who remind people of their responsibilities, those people who talk some responsibility in the world, and he rags on them as being guilt mongers and malicious tormentors, of the free spirits. Oh, it's just such a disgusting joke. And when you think about this for a second, right? So a guy who should be thinking about how intense responsibility is, how big a part of reality it is, how monstrous it is. And he's the guy talking trash about rights to evade, and calling anybody who mentions accountability, some kind of guilt mongering, party pooper. Well, whatever. It's just all quite horrendous. Sorry, doing a little stream maintenance. Had blockages and such. A lot of rain the other day. A lot of rain. A lot of rain. Horrific amounts of rain. Broke somebody's house in pieces. Whoa. Well, a little bit of a misdirection. It's still raining here. Anyway, yeah, they cemented up the stinky sewer. That was nice. You'd always get a whiff of it, I don't know, on a wet day you'd walk by that thing and be like, ew, that smells like poo and other things. So anyway, yeah, I think I've managed to do enough of a video. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm just feeling the pain. Just keep breathing, Gary. One breath at a time. Oh dear, dare I breathe deeply. Anyway, so, ugh, squishy shit everywhere. Yeah, so that's enough. So, it'd be nice just to just get a couple of 60-degree days just to catch up on this outside crap. I hate working outside. Your fingers get all cold. Your feet get all cold. I don't like it. But, yeah, the pool needed water, so that's good. Yeah. The cover was starting to sag a little. Anyway. Still gotta clean up this mud. Anyway, until next time. And such and so forth and whatnot. Yeah. I think it's enough of a video. Been doing Christmas lights. Got a ways to go yet. Spectacular. Anyway, till next time.